You can step back nearly 300 years and you don't even have to leave Missouri to do it. St. Genevieve, Missouri is where French Colonial America still lives, breathes, and also pours wine. That is where we're going today for this episode of Destination Heartland. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. This is a really exciting journey today. Now, St. Genevieve is just an hour outside of St. Louis. It's a little further for Kansas City Metro. It's about a 5 to 6 hour drive, but it is a destination you definitely want to put on your list. So let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Aaron Smith. He is with Visit St. Gen. Hey, Aaron, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate you reaching out about this.
Oh, this is so much fun. We always love to do these virtual trips on Destination Heartland. Okay, so let's begin with this. What makes St. Genevieve's history so unique? And it actually tells a big part of American history, too.
Absolutely. I think, the biggest thing is that we have these frontier buildings here that, I think Americans kind of struggle with their identity and their culture. Some people say that we don't have culture, but you can really see that here. And that's what makes it special. And also these frontier buildings, it's not like they are outside of town or they're completely integrated within the downtown. So you get to see that if, most cities wouldn't have, kind of built over or taken down their history, that, they are very much, everybody is stationed where the history happens, and here you get to really see the roots of that.
And that, I imagine, because of that, that scenery there is so beautiful. Let's dig a little bit into St. Genevieve's history now, which actually dates back to 1735. Am I right on that?
That's what we like to say. I like to go back as far as we can. The national park would say we were, officially became a town sometime around 1750. But 1735 is when we started to become settled. It was mostly by people coming across from Illinois. But the French journey came from, they started in Quebec. And if you wanted to leave a place at that time, the highways were the rivers. And so they would leave the St. Lawrence, dump into the Great Lakes, and then they found the Mississippi, and they settled Kaskaskia, which is just across the river from St. Genevieve. It's a really advantageous place to set up a fort. So there was a fort up on a bluff overlooking the river. And then, St. Genevieve just had incredible farmland, and we also had a salt deposit. And that was really important for people to cure meats and things like that. So, it was a really advantageous spot. That's why we were settled. Um,
Oh, that is so interesting. And as far as, those settlements go, are there cultural relics to be found in St. Genevieve today? And can people visit them?
Absolutely. So we have a number of different uh, organizations that work with the houses here, and so our biggest cultural relics are these frontier French homes that were built in the late 1700s. That have survived until this day through some major preservation efforts at different points in time. But we have a national park that owns three of the houses. They're about to acquire a fourth. And they offer different tours. We have the Colonial Dames of America that own two other houses, and they run a museum. And the State Historic Site also runs two houses here, as well as the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve that helps with the cemetery. We have the oldest cemetery in Missouri here. And they run the Guibord Valley House, which is another cultural relic.
That is so neat. So much history to dig into. And on top of that, you touched on it a little bit, but what types of historical tours can people go on? Because we talked about just this beautiful architecture of the town. Are there tours where people can kind of do walking tours and see all of that beauty?
There's a number of things. So the national park and the state historic site work together on a walking tour that they do in the spring and the fall. Um, the national park has some of their houses open to self-guided tours, which allows a ton of accessibility throughout the year. And then, the Colonial Dames with the Center for French Colonial Life, you can pay for a tour to go through the houses that they own. They own the oldest house in St. Genevieve, which is the Louis Bolduc house, which was built around 1788. So there's a number of tours like that. And then the U.S. Wildlife and Fisheries just acquired a big plot of land next to the Mississippi River. And the national park does tours of the levee, and there's a little loop that gets you close to the Mississippi River. And there you can kind of view the Mississippi as it always has been. And they do a lot of interpretation of what the history on the Mississippi River looked like.
That is so neat. It's kind of like a learning about history as you kind of explore and tour St. Genevieve. We talked a little bit about the museums. I'm sure there's a lot of museums there capturing this history, but also at the same time, what are some of the key exhibits and artifacts at these museums to capture that history?
I mean, it's so deep. So, one of the other advantages that this town had in keeping records is the French Catholic Church. Especially when it comes to, well, they just kept immaculate records, and so we have a ton of that still available. But just some of the things, when you have a town that's been around for 250 plus years, almost 300 years. In 2035, we'll celebrate our tricentennial. There's just a ton of different things that have been kept throughout the years. Some of our oldest stuff is on display at the Museum Learning Center. So a lot of things, just actual relics, different flags from St. Genevieve, different documents. John James Audubon lived here for a while, and they have an exhibit right now that kind of talks about his time here and his dealings with the biggest businessman in town, which was Ferdinand Rozier, things like that.
That's so neat. I mean, and the history of this town is so rich. It is so cool to be able to go and explore and learn all about it. Another aspect of St. Genevieve is its outdoor life. There is a rich area to be explored there. Tell us about State Park, and then also Spanish Land Grant Trail.
Yeah, I think the biggest feature at Hawn State Park is the Spanish Land Grant Trail. And basically you can get campsites that are right on the land grant trail. There's a really great little creek that runs through the whole trail. So basically, as you're taking this little easy 4 mile sort of romp, it follows the Pickle Creek. And what I love about it is, it depends on how far you want to get out, but throughout there's a lot of different glades and mini waterfalls, and it's perfect
Wow.
for bringing the family out there and bringing a blanket and a picnic and setting up all day. I mean, it's endless family fun out there. Lots of great swimming holes, and so basically, yeah, you just walk till you find an open spot and camp out.
That sounds so beautiful. So are we talking about mainly hiking, or is there cycling too? What are the kind of the activities, the recreational activities that people can dig into?
Sure. So Hawn State Park, I don't know much about the cycling out there, but I know for St. Genevieve, just right off of our downtown, we have some incredible world-class cycling. The town is super walkable, just in general. But like I was saying, the U.S. Wildlife and Fishery has a really nice hike that's just off of our downtown. You can get up on the levee and then get really close to the river on this sort of 3 mile sort of loop. But there are miles and miles of biking, and people can take a look at that on cyclestgen.com, or they can join the Strava group if they're big bikers. But there's all kinds of stuff. We have a ferry here, so a lot of people take their bike to the ferry, cross to Illinois, go up to Fort Deschartres or out to Fort Kaskaskia, and then loop all the way back on the Chester Bridge. And so there's miles and miles. We're talking 60, 70 miles of biking trails. And unironically, they say some of the trails remind them of the Tour de France. So we have uh, a section on the Cycle St. John website called the Tour de Lime, since we have a lot of lime under our feet here.
That is so neat. And what I love about this is it sounds like that these are truly scenic and beautiful natural areas that people can explore.
Absolutely.
And does that also come with, I mean, I imagine with all these beautiful natural areas that it also comes with some rich wildlife out there too to see.
Birding is really incredible out here. Yeah, especially up the Mississippi River. I mean, you're on a huge migration highway. People have even known to spot whooping cranes
Oh,
out here, which are very rare to see. So yeah, and the fact that again, when you get close to the river here, it's not industrial or developed. You're kind of looking at the river as it always was. So you get a really interesting chance to see some rare things, some rare birds. We have pawpaw trees that grow up on the riverbanks. So even in the right time, you can taste some of North America's only fruit.
oh wow, that is really interesting. Well, okay, so we talked about all the, different history sites and museums and outdoor life. What are some of the things that the locals like to do that tourists may not necessarily know about?
That's a good question. I think this is a very much a living community. What I think is surprising about St. John is you would think that it is mostly a relic, but no, it is definitely a thriving community. And so we have just a lot of oh, and I think Missouri, just in general, I'm from Louisiana originally. I think Missouri does such a good job of creating like really affordable sort of family activities. And, the communities kind of go all in on that sort of stuff. So we have a really incredible water park that runs during the summer called River Rapids Water Park.
Uh-huh.
We have a pumpkin patch that's kind of like Eckert's, called Bloomsdale Fun Farm, that has rides and stuff like that, and they run for a short time in the fall. Um, People love to go out to the wineries here, and we have Charleville Brewery and Winery in operation, and the new Chateau Saint Genevieve. So people really love to get out. We There's a lot of side by side riding. There's you know people coming from out of the area, especially if you're coming from Kansas City and you're doing a weekend sort of adventure. St. John's a really great base camp for getting out to some of those shut-ins that we have here. Great swimming holes, great hiking. We even have rock climbing within a 45-minute drive from here. So that's a lot of the stuff that our residents like to do.
Yeah, and it just sounds like St. Genevieve is just kind of that place where there is something for everyone, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I took this job as tourism director because I feel like it's just one of those hidden gems that has no exposure. And, I think when we get it right, we're going to get it really right. And then we're going to have to be beating people away with the stick because this is really a wonderful, decompressing sort of destination for people. So if you're, it's kind of the antidote to that hustle bustle lifestyle. So if you're wanting to get out and decompress and, uh, you know, tap into something that you normally wouldn't tap into, this is a great place for that.
I love that. It makes your job easy to sell St. Genevieve, right? But also, this was
Absolutely.
a complete surprise to me when I found it to find, a town with such rich history, but also all these things to do, which we are just scratching the surface on the things to do. What we want to do right now is take a quick fake break, and then we'll be back more with Aaron. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to Destination Heartland. Today we are exploring St. Genevieve, Missouri, which is about a 5 to 6 hour drive from Kansas City. But man, this is a tremendous place, a place that you definitely want to go and explore. There's something for everyone there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Aaron Smith again. Hi, Aaron. Welcome back. All right, so
Hey, Sharon, thank
we
you.
have talked about all the fun attractions about St. Genevieve. Now we want to talk about town, what's in town. So, first of all, let's talk about the dining scene in St. Genevieve. What should we expect here?
A lot of good home cooking. I mean, that's what St. Genevieve hangs his hat on. We have the Anvil Saloon and Restaurant, which has some of the best onion rings in the state.
Hmm.
And it's within a historic building. They pulled their bar out of a riverboat. So there's a lot of cool things to see. They have a great steak there. Audubon's restaurant is kind of our flagship in town. They just hired a new chef. They try to elevate what we offer here in St. Genevieve. Sarah's Ice Cream, which has been here since the 80s, just got taken over under new, more energetic ownership, and they're doing a great job of kind of making this a real culinary sort of destination.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you talk about St. Genevieve, we talked a lot about the history, which was that French influence. Is there a place in town where you can get French influence food or French food for that matter?
Not right now. What's interesting about this town is you can kind of see the layers of how it went. So, at some point when we became American, we also became, that American tilt was more German. So you can also
Oh.
see that influence in the buildings that were built in the 1800s. And we actually have a dish here that's straight from old world Germany called liver dumplings. So it's
Oh.
kind of our version of the Philly cheesesteak, but less appetizing to some. But they are really good, and I like to, we promote on our website the liver dumpling tour that you can take, so you can go to all the different restaurants. And out in the county here, there's like a church picnic called the Zell Picnic that people bring their homemade liver dumplings, and it's a good time to try something new for sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. You did not have me at liver dumplings because liver is kind of on the axe list for me, but
Sure,
that sounds
sure.
very unique. Are there other types of unique specialties in Genevieve that tourists might find interesting?
I think uh, I guess not so much on the, well, it is culinary, but we make a mean charcuterie board out here.
Hmm.
So out in the county, we have a farm called Beige Farms. It's a goat farm. They make a world award-winning goat cheeses. And then we have Oberle Meats, which internationally sells a ton of like cured meats and sausages and things. And so if you go to Chateau Saint Genevieve, our winery out here, they basically sell those products from those two places in lieu of having a restaurant, because that's kind of our world class culinary choices that we have out here. So
Okay.
wine, cheese, and meats are our thing.
Okay, I can definitely get on board with that. And of course, with the cheese and meats, the charcuterie board comes the wine. We have to talk about the wine because St. Genevieve is a wine destination that, is here in Missouri, one of several.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that surprised me before I got here as well. Is whoa, there's actually um, a pretty hardy wine scene in Missouri just in general. And right now, the two wineries that we have out here that are burning rubber is the Charlottesville Brewery and Winery. They have one of the best views that I think any winery has, and I've been to wineries in Sonoma County and Napa. Very unique out in the limestone sort of hills in the county. And they have, just a really unique setting. Some of the facilities that we have in St. Genevieve, are just will astound you, and that's one of those places. That family also owns. I forgot to mention on a culinary tip, they own the Dewdrop Inn and the Cozy, and so if you want some great barbecue or a good hearty breakfast, I would. The smoked turkey Benedict is one of
Oh,
those unique foods that is really great for breakfast. But they own the Charlottesville Brewery and Winery as well. They make some great beers, some great wines, and just have wonderful facilities. Um, and then the other is Chateau St. Genevieve, which just opened this past year, and they're right across from Beige Farms. So you're getting another really interesting stop where you can take a tour of Beige Farms, and then you can go sit and just enjoy some really beautiful Missouri wines.
oh, that sounds wonderful. I always ask this question too for people who go to visit in these towns. I know there's like the highlights, right? But what are some of those local places that people who live there kind of like call them their favorites, but the tourists may not necessarily know about?
Well, it's interesting. I think we're such a small destination that all of these places what's wonderful also about my job is all of these places that I'm talking about are the local favorites as well, so um, I'm pointing you to the places where you're going to see people and you're going to be able to uh, mingle with the community. And I think again that's what's so energizing about coming here is it is a living community, and you have the opportunity. You stop anybody on the street and start talking to them, and you're like, wow, are you a docent for one of the historic houses? How do you know this much? And it's like, well, I just live here. So everybody here is super passionate about um, just the town in general. So yeah, all of these places, the Audubons, the Anvils, the Dewdrop Inn, the Cozy, Charlottesville Winery, all of those places are, uh, kind of the favorites around here because that's what we have.
Yeah, I love it. Everybody's an ambassador for St. Genevieve. That is awesome. Okay, so of course, with the whining and dining comes the shopping. Ladies love to listen about the shopping, men too, for that matter. So, talk about shopping opportunities available in St. Genevieve.
Yeah, sure. So I think probably everybody's first stop is ASL Pewter. So people are coming for the history, um, and a lot of it can be seen, but not so much touched or owned. And ASL Pewter gives you kind of a unique opportunity um, to get in on that. They are Pat and Tom, who own ASL Pewter, are two of the last pewter makers in North America.
Oh,
And if
wow.
you've seen that show, John Adams on HBO, you've seen some of their pewter work and the set design. So they're commissioned by Michelin star restaurants and movie sets all the time to produce things for them because their stuff is that high quality, and they have some really probably the most unique sort of Saint Genevieve specific mementos that you can get in town. Um, on top of that, we have a bunch of great art galleries. Well, I say a bunch of great. We have two great art galleries that you can see. So St. Genevieve, another part of its history is in the 30s. We had a really incredible art colony that was headed up by Thomas Hart Benton, who is the premier muralist in the United States. He actually came and taught classes here. So at Silver Sycamore, you can actually see some work by Thomas Hart Benton and Joe Jones and these regionalist masters, and buy things from some of the art colonists that stayed and raised families here, as well as work from local sort of legends that are still producing work like Ali Kavanaugh and things like that. And then there's the Two Rivers Gallery, which is down the street, and they work with Brian Haynes, who is an incredible Missouri artist who if Thomas Hart Benton calls himself a regionalist, Brian Haynes calls himself a new regionalist. His work is very much in that same sort of Missouri specific vein, and does a lot of incredible landscapes and paintings of Osage natives that are really incredible gifts.
Oh, that is so neat. It sounds like there's just so many unique opportunities to be found in St. Genevieve. Another, area that we always love to dig into for Destination Heartland is there's so many different wonderful festivals and seasonal events throughout the Midwest, and I'm sure St. Genevieve probably has a list too.
Absolutely. And I think what's super interesting, so I'm from Louisiana originally,
Uh-huh.
as I said earlier. And so finding out that there was a French culture in Missouri was, kind of mind blowing to me
Yeah.
right off. But what's even more mind blowing is these sort of traditional festivals that really remind me of like rural Mardi Gras festivals that happen in Mamou and Iota, Louisiana.
Oh, cool.
Um, so La Guinée is one of them. I know you had a question about that coming up,
Yeah.
but La Guinée is a very much like a rural Mardi Gras festival. And then we have the King's Ball, which happens in February. It is based on like a 12th night sort of ball. They have those in St. Louis and then in some of the other smaller communities around here, Prairie du Rocher, which is right across the river here in Illinois. But that is where we all dress up in sort of late 18th century garb and we dance the night away like it's Bridgerton. So that happens, that'll be February 7th this year. So tickets will go on sale tomorrow for that. And then, yeah, tonight is La Guinée. So that is super special. We basically have a troupe of traveling carolers that come through um, to the different bars, and the whole thing is, you sing a song of prosperity in French, and that's really funny as well. And you're basically, begging the bar for gifts and drinks, and so basically everybody's getting drinks and then going to the next stop, and so you can kind of follow the troupe to from bar to bar. It's kind of like a great little bar crawl that happens, and that happens tonight, starting at 7:15 in our downtown. But yeah, we have the French Heritage Festival in June, which is another great sort of way for us to connect with sort of the wider French community in the United States. And then Jour de Fête, which is our biggest, it's the biggest craft fair in Missouri. Was started in the late '60s and has been going steadily since then. And up to 15,000 people come to town for that event each year.
Wow. And we're talking about big events each year. Next year is going to be this year, I should say, because we are on the cusp of
We're here, yeah.
2026. Yeah, we're here. This is the year America's going to celebrate 250 years, which St. Genevieve's history is that too. So I imagine you guys have some tremendous events planned for this year too for America's 250th.
Absolutely. And of course, we were lucky enough, on top of all of the embarrassment of riches we have, we had we took part in the westernmost battle of the Revolutionary War, which happened in St. Louis. St. Genevieve sent 60 men to help in that battle. That's the Battle of Fort San Carlos. That is commemorated every year in St. Gen on May 30th and 31st, like the Labor Day weekend. And so we are going to center our US 250 event around that weekend. We have two of our most interesting residents here are Ronnie and Justine Rayfield. They have a YouTube channel called Early American that has 1.3 million subscribers to it.
Oh, wow.
They are food historians. And so, they find recipes from the late 18th century and early 19th century and cook those on screen and then taste them afterwards and talk about it. They're spearheading this event. And so they've got a lot of incredible sort of people coming. The Townsends, Ryan Kerr from the Townsends is going to bring his little coffee making station, colonial coffee making station down here for that. And Samson Historical, who is one of the biggest sort of retailers for colonial gear, will be here as well. So should be a very exciting time. We're looking to have things like Declaration of Independence signing. We're going to have drills through the streets. We're bringing in a lot of different regiments, some people that played the Osage Native Americans. So we're really trying to recreate what it would have looked like when America took on its roots here in St. Genevieve, and what that would have looked like. And so, on the hour, we'll have different troops walking the streets, doing
Oh,
drum and
wow.
fife, and things like that. So it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So definitely, a good time to visit is during, the 250th. But then for people who are not going to be out there, I always ask this too, is what is a good time to visit St. Genevieve? Like, what's the best time of year to visit?
Well, I would say late spring, early summer are great. When you have the French Heritage Festival the second weekend of June, that's always great. Um, Spring brings in a lot of really cool events. We have a garden walk. We have a house tour that happens that locals open up their house to for people to take tours. And
Cool.
there's a lot of historic houses that um, aren't on the public registry for people to just tour. So twice a year we open up houses for that. So and it just depends on what you want. Of course, fall is when we're super active as well because the weather gets really nice. And a lot of smiling faces for that season. But if you're looking to kind of decompress and get out of the rabble and want a sleepy town experience, the winter's nice too. The town looks great in snow. So
I would have to say I am in for visiting St. Genevieve. Wow, there is just so much to do and see there. Aaron, I really want to thank you for joining us in today's episode of Destination Heartland.
no, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.